The good old days have been cut in this particular video for various reasons. Thank you so much for going down memory lane with me. Let me take you back and tell you a real funny story inside the confines of Washington High School. This is called the Fight in Study Hall. Go into Playlist Archives into the vaults. Take a look at the story of Mrs. Arrington. Miss Arrington was the monitor for afternoon detention and a lot of other things in general. Go into the Playlist Archives into the vaults, the story of Mrs. Arrington, and take a look at it. Nonetheless, Mrs. Arrington was a study hall monitor, or afternoon detention monitor. She was. Also, you had Mrs. Donovan, Mrs. Williams, and you also had Miss Ware, which we said Miss Ware no hair. She had real curly hair, had a bald spot in the back, and you could actually see through her hair, through her the curls in her hair. So we called her Miss Ware no hair. Nonetheless, there was also Miss Dixon, and Miss Dixon. All these were black women, by the way, and they, all of them were nice. But Mrs. Dixon, she was just a little different. Go into Playlist Archives into the vaults. Take a look at the story of David Cecil, or a little more on Tabitha Armstrong. Tabitha was set over here in this area, and then over here in this or side by side from one another, so Tabitha Armstrong and a black girl named Clarissa Conley. Tabitha was just sitting there, and she just minding her own business, had her head on her desk, in study hall, and had her head on her desk, and she was just, she had just fell asleep. Clarissa Conley had decided to say, she's like, damn, something fucking stank, man, something stank. And Tabitha looks up, she goes, "You shut the hell up, I'm trying to sleep." Clarissa says, "Excuse me?" She said, "I said shut up, I'm trying to sleep." She goes, "Bitch, I think you're the one that stank." She goes, "When's the last time your ass took a bath?" She goes, "If you don't shut up, I'm going to kick your ass." And Clarissa goes, "Come on, bitch, I'm right here, come on. Come on." So she stood up, and she, her and Clarissa, she stood up, Clarissa stood up, and they started to hit each other, and Clarissa grabbed her by the head and took her by the hair and yanked her and threw her over the actually it was room 101 there in the new Washington High School we're talking, and back in the day it was, of course, New Washington High School for us seniors in 1992, but it was one of the, it kind of 101 was kind of like a like Congress, if you will. What that big, actually the big round, it's like a big rounded area, like you sit like 4 or 5 different people there, and it's kind of like a table deal, but it's wrapped in the shape of like a horseshoe, if you will. The desk area. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. I don't want to confuse anybody, but nonetheless, she grabbed her and tossed her over that, and they were down there, and they were fisticuffs, and they were punching on each other and everything, and Mrs. Dixon's going, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, and I just immediately said, "Beat the bird on the grill, took a hold of the train, just to get up that hill. Come on, Florence, dance that jig, dance that jig." And the whole freaking study hall is just rolling. They're laughing. I mean, they're on their they're rolling at that. Because I'm like, beans don't burn on the beans don't burn on the grill, or whatever. But anyway, nonetheless, she didn't know what to do, so they had to. Mrs. Arrington came in and was looking in, and Mrs. Arrington ended up coming in and breaking them two up, and they both headed off to the office. After that, you didn't see the both of them. I believe they got suspended or something or another, but you never saw Clarissa Conley or Tabitha Armstrong after that in that particular study hall. But that was the only class I actually had him in there, so that's probably why they got suspended or something. Nonetheless, Mrs. Dixon, that whole entire week after that, she was just sitting there, and people would get on to her for just reasons in general. And Mrs. Dixon was like, I don't need this job. She's like, I got another job lined up. I got another job. I don't need this. And somebody's like, yeah, dancer at the, or barmaid at the Trax Bar. Trax Bar is down on the on 3rd Street, southeast of Massillon. There, it's right down the road from the Coffee Cup restaurant. So somebody's like, yeah, man, head barmaid at the Trax Bar. It's like, you probably dance there too. People can get you so you can tap into money. So she's like, He's like, you go ahead and say what you want, but I tell you what, I do not need this job. Because I told you I got another job. I said, yeah, head barmaid and dancer at the Trax Bar. She's like, who said that? I was like, well, who the hell cares? Nobody gets a damn anyway. She's like, that's it. I'm out of here. Well, the next day, we had Miss Williams take over for a little bit, and Mrs. Arrington took over, and after that, it was all over. All the fun and games, all the patting, knocking, tapping, drumming, and everything in general had to stop. But for me in study hall, all I did was basically go in there. If I studied, that study hall was like sixth mod or sixth period. I think we had like 12 mods in general. That was like 6th or 8th mod or whatever. Well, actually, it was like the 5th, I think, just right before 4th or 5th, right before lunchtime. And I was sitting there getting a little bit of homework done, or a little bit of work that I got done for a class later in the day. And then I'd go into writing my stories and poems and whatnot. But nonetheless, just a funny time. Nonetheless, the fight study hall. And I wouldn't ramble on a little more than I probably should have. Thank you so much for going down memory lane with me. I'll catch you next time.